Today's story takes us to Las Vegas, but we're not here for the bright lights or casinos. No, this time, it's all about something way more exciting, especially if you're a Raiders fan. The Raiders just made a bold move in the 2025 NFL Draft. With their first round pick, they surprised everyone by choosing a running back, Ashton Jeanty. Now you might be thinking, why a running back? Why now? Don't worry, I've got the full story for you. Let's keep the story going. Last season, the Raiders had one big problem. They couldn't run the football. On average, they only got 79.8 rushing yards per game. That was the worst in the whole NFL. And they only picked up 3.6 yards every time they ran the ball. That's not just bad, it's one of the worst in recent history. Without a solid run game, the whole offense struggled. Sure, the quarterbacks didn't play great either, but when the run game doesn't work, everything else falls apart. So, what did the Raiders do to fix it? They hit the reset button and brought in Ashton Jeanty. Now, here's where things get exciting. Jeanty isn't just a good running back, he was the best one in this year's draft. And believe it or not, some people already think he could be one of the top 5 running backs in the NFL. Right now, sounds wild, right? But think back to last year. People had doubts about Brock Bowers, too. He hasn't played in the NFL yet. Then, just a few games in, everyone was calling him the best tight end in football. Jeanty could be that kind of surprise. Even better, the Raiders are building the whole offense around him. With Chip Kelly running the offense and Brennan Carroll, Pete Carroll's son, focused on the run game, they're clearly trying to fix their biggest weakness. And with Geno Smith at quarterback, they know they need a balanced attack. That balance? Jeanty. Behind closed doors, this was the plan all along. Coaches like Pete Carroll and John Spytek spent the whole offseason working on a run-first strategy. And Jeanty is at the center of it all. Now, here's a fun question for you. How many rushing yards do you think Ashton Jeanty will get this season? Drop your guess in the comments. That's today's pinned question. Here's what I think. 293 carries, 1,460 rushing yards, 4.8 yards per carry, 12 touchdowns. Some people might say, that's too much for a rookie. But let's be real. When you spend a first-round pick on a running back, especially when the team needs help, you're not drafting him to sit on the bench. The last time I felt this confident about a rookie running back? Saquon Barkley. And we all remember how amazing he was right from the start. Jeanty might be the Raiders' version of that, or even better. Let's talk about something most fans overlook. Trust and relationships. When a team uses a high draft pick on a running back, especially in today's NFL, there's always noise. People say it's too risky. They say you could have taken an offensive lineman instead. But the Raiders, they ignored the noise because they did their homework. And no team, no one, scouted Ashton Jeanty harder than Las Vegas. They brought him in for a top 30 visit, sat down with him at the NFL Combine, watched him up close at Boise State's Pro Day. But here's what sets them apart. Raiders GM John Spytek and RB coach Dan McCullough were the only duo in the league who not only showed up at his Pro Day, but also took him out to dinner with his college coach. That says a lot. This wasn't just scouting. It was building a relationship. It was about trust. And yeah, there were all kinds of rumors flying before the draft. People were saying the Raiders might take Kelvin Banks or Armani, but now we know that was likely a smokescreen. Spytek played it smart. He played chess while the rest of the league played checkers. He knew who he wanted all along. Now let's be honest. Drafting a running back early always comes with risk. But Spytek isn't guessing here. He's shown how careful and calculated every move has been this offseason. So if he used a top pick on a running back, that tells you how much belief the Raiders have in Jeanty. And fans believe too. You want proof? Ashton Jeanty already ranks number 4 among top-selling 2025 rookie jerseys. And that number is climbing. You can feel the excitement. Raider Nation is ready to back this guy. I was personally hoping he'd hit number 1, because that kind of energy can carry a rookie through his toughest moments. But here's the bottom line. The Raiders didn't just draft a player, they drafted a tone setter, a back who matches their new mindset. Because make no mistake, this team wants to play FU football, and we're just getting started. Let me tell you something smart the Raiders are doing right now. They're copying success. If you look around the NFL, 2 teams have built something powerful by playing physical, in-your-face football, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Detroit Lions. And now the Raiders want in. Why? Because that kind of tough FU football wins when it matters. In January and February. Now, let's be real. With so many new faces on this Raiders squad, it's going to take time. Don't be surprised if they start slow in September or October. But come November and December, teams won't want to face them, especially if they find their rhythm. Now, here's something every Raiders fan has thought at least once. We need a QB who can go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. But what if that's the wrong approach? Let's face it, Mahomes is one of a kind. You're not just going to find another Mahomes. So instead, the Raiders are flipping the script. They're saying, let's beat him by keeping him on the sideline. That's exactly what the Eagles did. That's how Tampa Bay with Tom Brady and John Spytek beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. They won in the trenches, played tough, downhill football, and didn't let Mahomes get into rhythm. And that's what the Raiders are building right now. From day one of the offseason, they focused on the defensive line. In both the draft and free agency, they beefed up the trenches, just like Philly does every single year. They also loaded up on offensive linemen, making sure a veteran like Geno Smith stays upright, just like Brady did at 44 years old. That kind of protection wins games. And then there's the missing piece, the guy who brings that X factor to the offense. The Eagles got Saquon Barkley to do that. The Lions added Jahmyr Gibbs. And now the Raiders, they've got Ashton Jeanty. He's the guy who's going to bring that explosive energy, that toughness, and that fear factor to every single game. He's not just a playmaker. He's part of a whole new identity. This is FU football, and it's the only kind of football that's worked against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in recent years. That's the real reason the Raiders drafted Jeanty. And before we jump into the final reason, I've got some exciting news. The Madden Raiders report season is officially kicking off Friday, May 16th. We'll be doing weekly simulations, more live shows, and giving you a front row seat to the entire offseason. The full schedule drops Wednesday, May 14th, so mark your calendars. Trust me, it's going to be a wild ride. All right, quick heads up for all our Madden fans. Madden season starts Friday, May 16th, and we'll be running games every Friday and Monday this offseason. Now, life's been busy. I've got a wedding coming up, honeymoon right after, and Chugs has some time off too, so hey, the schedule might shift here and there, but one thing's for sure. May 16th is game on. And if you're like me, excited to finally see this new-look Raiders team in action, make sure you tune in because it's going to be a lot of fun watching them on the sticks. Now, let's wrap this all up by talking about the biggest reason the Raiders drafted Ashton Jeanty. He's what I call a building block player. You know the type. Guys like JPJ, Brock Bowers, Max Crosby, players who show up early, work their tails off, and give you 110% every single day. The Raiders have been stuck in football purgatory for years. If they want out, they need foundational pieces. Guys who don't just play well, but help build a program. That's exactly what Jeanty is. People like Tom Brady, John Spytek, and Pete Carroll know how to create a winning culture. They've done it in New England, Tampa, and Seattle. And they're bringing that mindset to Vegas. They don't just want talent, they want guys who buy in. And when your best players, like Max Crosby or Brock Bowers, are showing up at 6 a.m. and grinding until 6 p.m., that sets the tone for everyone else. That's why Jeanty was the pick. Let's go over the full picture one more time. He was the best player available at a major position of need. He helps Geno Smith and fits Chip Kelly's system perfectly. The front office did their homework, and they didn't play it safe. Choosing him over an offensive lineman shows serious confidence. And most of all, he's a pillar, someone you can build around. That's how Philly and Detroit built their teams, with toughness, culture, and FU football. And now the Raiders are doing the same, starting with Ashton Jeanty.